Hello, Internet. It is I, Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today, we're going to be talking about The Watchers. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros. So, this movie is made by Ishana, I believe that's how you say her name, Ishana Night Shyamalan, who happens to be the daughter of M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah. So while we're here, we might as well talk about M. Night. I mean, this movie right here is made by his daughter. We might as well talk about the father, right? So M. Night, you all know who he is at this point. Let's go over his track record. So his first movie, or what people believe is his first movie, even though it really isn't, was The Sixth Sense back in 1999. That movie was an enormous hit. It was the second biggest hit of that year. It won Oscars. It made M. Night like a household name. Then afterwards, things were looking really great. I mean, he had Unbreakable, which wasn't like an enormous hit, but still did all right and gained a pretty nice cult following. And then Signs was another huge hit for him. Things were looking really good. Then The Village happened, and things started to take a turn, a turn for the worst. Now, The Village, although its reputation isn't as bad now, but back then people hated that movie, especially its twist and how it ended. And not to mention its false advertising, kind of presenting it like as like a creature feature when really it was more of like a period or supposed period trauma. So yeah, that wasn't a great idea. But then M. Night, he gained this massive, disgustingly large ego where he believed everything he wrote was golden. And that resulted in a lot of his later movies being absolute disasters. The first being Lady in the Water, which was a total flop, not just critically, but commercially. Huge L right there. And then he made The Happening 2 years later, a movie that was a hit technically, but critically another disaster. Although it was a movie that has become a lot of people's like one of their favorite bad movies because man, that movie it's just its dialogue and the acting, it's fantastic. It is so bad it's good. And then The Last Airbender. What do you want me to say about that movie? That movie was a crime against basically all things good. It spit in the face of an iconic and perfect animated show it was based off, and did in like the worst ways. I mean, you couldn't even pronounce the characters' names right. I mean, you have Aang, it's fucking Ong. Like, come on. Don't even get me started on how they did bending and just the dialogue and just how they ruined all the characters. I can go on and on about Last Airbender. That movie is an abomination. Uh, and then yeah, After Earth. After that, which that movie actually hid M. Night Shyamalan's name in the marketing, which was probably a result because of his most recent movies like Last Airbender and whatnot. But it was still a flop, still another L for him and Will Smith. And I find it real funny that this weekend we have like a Shyamalan movie. Maybe it's not from M. Night, but he's still involved. A Shyamalan movie and a Will Smith movie opening the same weekend. Damn it, all over 10 years after Earth. I find that real amusing. So things were looking real dire for M. Night. It's like he was just incapable of making a good movie. And then The Visit happened, and then things started to change and change for the better. Because people watched The Visit and were like, oh wow, this movie isn't total dog shit. This is actually kind of all right. And it was a nice little hit. And then he made Split, which was also very well received. And it was a nice hit, a nice comeback for M. Night in terms of box office. And then he made Glass, which wasn't very good. I mean, I never saw it. but I kind of don't want to see it because I'm afraid it's gonna be really, really, really disappointing because I really liked Split. But Glass did okay. It did all right, but it didn't definitely didn't make the money it probably should have. And then he made Old, a movie that was very divisive, and it didn't really set the world on fire financially. And then Knock at the Cabin, same thing. It's actually his worst performing movie. So even though in terms of budget, it didn't do the worst. So and M Night has another movie coming out later this summer in August, Trap, which I will definitely watch, no matter what the quality of that is. But yeah, so M Night, he's a very interesting character. His movies are they're it's something. I don't know how to properly describe it, but it's something. I mean, it's a real roller coaster of quality, and but he still has a following. He definitely does have a following of people who are at least somewhat interested in his stuff. And because this is made by his daughter, I imagine some people are going to be a little curious, see how it goes. So yeah, M Night's name and the fact this is from his daughter, I'm gonna label that as a pro. Another pro is that there's no direct competition for this movie. There's no other like horror movies out there right now. There won't be any horror movies until A Quiet Place Day One, and that's like at the end of the month. So yeah, lack of competition. That's obviously a pro. Uh, I guess a pro is that Warner Brothers, they've been pushing this movie like enough. Like I've seen constant ads for it, which is a good sign. So they'll label that as a pro, I guess. More of a smaller pro. Um, think that's it. I guess like it mentions Thursday previews. $1 million. I mean, for what this is, that's neither like good nor bad. So it's more of like middle ground stuff. But when it comes to actual cons, okay. So reviews for this are real bad. Has a 30% critic score, 57% audience score. That's deadly. That's death right there. And its cinema score is a C minus, which is definitely somewhat below average for horror. So word of mouth is ass across the board. I want to see people's reactions to this movie. I really want to know. I want to understand the vibe of what's happening. Oh my god. 1 star. Spoiler alert. Fairies. I like that review. It's very simple to the point. This says the story was weak and boring. Lots of like 5 stars, 4 or 5 stars. I'm surprised. Uh, this is a brutal one. I should have just gone swimming in a pool of used needles, barbed wire, and broken glass instead. The movie was aggressively mediocre, and that was 92 minutes of my life I'll never get back. Next time, I'll be sure to sneak a flask next time. God damn. That is that is some heavy words. So yeah, whoever this was, they really didn't like that movie. Uh, so yeah, this is like verified audiences, all audiences. Let's see, what do we got? Uh, let's see. It was just so slow movie. That's literally how it's being said. The last 10 minutes explains the whole movie. I slept through the first 25 minutes of the movie and maybe another 20 minutes in the middle, and nothing spooky about it. Kind of just dry. I should have gone to see Bad Boys instead. Okay. Uh Okay, here's another one. This is a half star. This movie is one of the most predictable, not scary, no suspense, boring movies I have ever seen. I'm embarrassed I took my sister to it. Don't even watch it on streaming. So yeah, those are like the worst reviews I've seen, the worst audience reviews I've seen. But most of it's like I've seen a lot of threes, fours. So it seems divisive. It definitely seems a little divisive. So one can make like the argument, oh, this is just like a nepotism thing. But that's usually like if the parent is like really talented and the kid is not. That's usually when it's most prevalent when it comes to nepotism. But here, I mean, the apple hasn't clearly hasn't fallen that far from the tree, considering some of M Night's movies and their dubious quality. So yeah, but yeah, overall word of mouth is still it's bad. It's real bad. So that's a con, obviously. Another con is the fact that this weekend is pretty much all about Bad Boys Ride or Die. No one really cares about this movie that much, and that's a problem. Even with its advertising, no one really gives a damn, so that's a con. Another con is that I actually haven't mentioned this. I'm surprised I haven't, but horror's been a real slump this year. It has just been just nothing exciting going on in the horror genre. Like nothing has really popped off at all. I mean, compared to like the last 2 years, I mean, horror was doing pretty darn good. I mean, 2022, you had Scream 5, you had Black Phone, you had Barbarian, you had Smile. And then 2023, you had like Megan, Scream 6, Evil Dead Rise, Talk to Me. And even though I didn't like the movie, you had like a huge hit in the form of Five Nights at Freddy's. Yeah, that. Like horror was doing like really good, and this year it's just dead. Nothing's happening. I think the biggest horror hit we've had was like Night Swim and only made like what 30 something $1 million. So yeah, embarrassing. Granted, that's gonna change in several weeks when A Quiet Place Day One comes out. But right now, horror is in it's is in a real sluggish state, and The Watchers is not going to change that at all. So yeah, the horror genre just being in a rut. I'll label that as a con, and I think that's really it. So opening weekend, I was thinking before his reviews came out, I was thinking, maybe this could hit, double digits, maybe like 15 or so million, maybe surprise a little bit. Then the reviews dropped, and I was like, you know what? No, I don't think so. And now it's looking real grim. We're talking like single digits, like mid single digits. So what I've seen, I'm gonna go with say 7 million, 6 to 8 million. Let's go with 6 to 8 million opening weekend. It's total, considering it's word of mouth. I don't expect this to have a long life at all. I see it just crashing and burning real fast. Um, Maybe 15 to 20 million total. Probably maybe even less than that. Who knows? And that's it. So that was the weekend. Only 2 movies. I'm so glad about that. And next week I'm going to be even more happy because I only have to do one movie. Just one. Haven't done that in a long time. That movie is Inside Out 2, which, I mean, could be a hit, but considering the state of Pixar right now, I'm not too hopeful about its chances. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes next week. Well, that's what I'll be doing next week. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, so that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. You want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage. All previous prediction videos I've made this year. You want to watch any of those from this year, the past few years, want to watch any of them, go right ahead. There's also the canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I talked about The Watchers twice. The first time was episode 2. Trying to get to it's not working. My computer is being stupid. My laptop's being stupid. There we go. Okay. So the first time was episode 236, where I also talked about Bad Boys 4, Bad Boys Ride or Die, and talked about that alongside Ninja's Mutant Mayhem 2, Paw Patrol 3, Naked Gun Reboot. Talked about those. So, and I think they like swapped dates because like Bad Boys for Life was supposed to come out the 14th, and The Watchers was originally the 7th, but then they swapped. So Bad Boys came earlier, and The Watchers was supposed to come out next week. But then with the next time I talked about it, which was episode 244, they changed their minds, which was just like, why? Like, they literally went from, we pushed it back a week to, no, let's just push it up to the same week. Like, what was the point? Like, that was pointless. You didn't have to do anything. But anyway, yeah, I talked about The Watchers alongside Karate Kid, Kraven the Hunter when I got delayed to December, um, Gabby's Dollhouse, and They Listen. So that was the 244. That was the second time I talked about it. So you want to watch those two episodes or any other episodes I've done on Canceled? I've made like 248 episodes. The most recent one I did like yesterday. It was about like Angry Birds 3 and the new Hunger Games movie and all that. So if you want to watch that episode or any other, you want to watch any of the Cancel episodes from beginning to now, you want to binge them all, go right ahead. I highly recommend it, especially considering that series is going to be over in like 2 episodes. And then you got box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. May recap, that'll be next week. So stay tuned for that. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.